Hey everybody, Lapata Peak back with another video on stacking philosophies. And in my last video I went over some examples of government bullion. They are probably more typical to see just in coin shops in general, or just out and about. If you're shopping for gold and silver, or even on websites, some of the things you'll see more commonly, such as American Silver Eagles and Canadian Maples and things like that. Today I'm going to kind of get into some of the other types of government bullion that are generally probably considered a little bit more numismatic or semi-numismatic, even though they're really not. They're still government bullion, but they are generally priced a little bit more of a premium, and it's generally due to the fact that they're either have some specialty designs on them, or that they are just made in limited mintages. And I'm just going to go over a few of those examples today, some of that you may have seen, and really some of the favorite coins that I have in my stack. And the reason that anybody typically would pay a bit more of a premium on these is just because it's that second type of cool that I mentioned in my first video. Just something more that you'd like to have, just as maybe a little bit of a collector's piece. You just like the look of it, you like the design. You like the fact that there's only a limited mintage of them out there, and you just kind of want to have one. So just going to go over a few examples of some of my, the pieces that I do have. And just we'll kind of start from there. So it's just starting here in the bottom right. This is the Noah's Ark from Armenia, and kind of got one here in a case, but I also do buy tubes of these every year, or at least every year that I've been stacking. So this one is actually from 2017, and it's really hard to see. If you see just right under the 500 dram, you'll see the 2017 date on there. It's really kind of hard to see these. I actually had to look for it for a while before I saw it for the first time. But so this is a coin, just because it has that currency denomination on there. These are legal tender in Armenia. And I think the reason they use the Noah's Ark is, if you read in the book of Genesis in the Bible, if you're Christian or Jewish, I'm neither, but I do enjoy a good story, and Noah's Ark is, I guess, one of the stories that's can kind of go back to maybe the Epic of Gilgamesh, and maybe if you look in every religion, there's some kind of flood and some dude that usually escapes it because God talked to him. But in the Noah's Ark story, the Ark, I believe, comes to rest on the mountains of Ararat, and I believe the mountains of Ararat are either in Turkey or Armenia, depending on who you ask. But I think from the Armenian perspective, that's they're thinking that it's there. And then there's also the image of the dove and the olive branch, which is also from the story, is generally looked at as a symbol of peace today. I guess it's part of God's promise that he would never kill everybody at once again or something. But still a nice coin nonetheless. I do like these coins, and if you are looking at these in a coin shop, you're probably going to pay at least a $10 premium on it. But on the flip side, they will probably pay you a pretty good premium if you do go to sell these. So the tubes for the Noah's Arks are a little bit shorter than the other tubes. They do come in tubes of 20. And if you get them right when they come out towards the beginning of the year, like in January, they're generally the cheapest. Actually, I picked these up for not too bad of a price on eBay. I always kind of look for these right at the beginning of the year, and we'll usually pick one up then. So staying down at the bottom here, another good example, and this is actually not a coin. This is technically a round, even though it is made by the government of Mexico. This is Libertad, and it does not have a peso denomination on here, so that's what makes it a round. But I do love the symbol here. This is a statue that is in Mexico City. Don't know the name of it off the top of my head, but I know I've seen it either in movies or in documentaries and things like that, and I do like the Libertads. I don't have any stacks of these proof ones here. I do have a couple of them, but you can get them in the BU. Although this year, 2020, they actually haven't released any yet, and I think it's because the mint is still shut down in Mexico City. So the ones from 2020, if they do come out, you may be paying a little bit more for those, even for the BUs. But I do love the Libertad. It is, one of the ones that I always try to stack at least a 2 of 25 of in the BU format, and we'll see if I'm able to do that this year or not. Just kind of moving on up, the example I have here is a coin again. This is the Archangel Michael from the Ukraine, and it's denoted as, I believe, 1 Hervina from the Bank of the Ukraine. And this coin here is actually a little bit of a special one. So this here you'll see is the date of 2011. I do have one of these for every year they were made, so 2011 through 2019. Have not seen them be released for 2020 as of yet. But the first year these were released in 2011, they only made, I want to say, like 10,000 of them or something like that. So this one I picked up on eBay. When I picked it up, I paid about $130 for it. If you go look at them now, they're probably somewhere around 200. So that value is holding, and I can imagine it will only go up throughout. But I do like the design in here, the iconography. The Archangel Michael, excuse me, is I believe a very patron saint for the Ukraine. He was somewhat of a warrior angel, if I remember correctly. Some of you may know more than me on that, but I like the aspect of the language, the Ukraine language, which is almost like Greek lettering on here. I do like that, and then just the coat of arms on the reverse is very nice as well. And you'll see there 31.1 grams or 1 troy ounce of silver. But yeah, these are some of the favorite ones. And if they do come out for one for 2020, I definitely will pick that up as well. But like the Libertad, I have not seen them yet. And I don't know if it's just due to the mints being closed due to COVID, or they're just out of silver, or what's going on. But I'm going to keep my eye out for these as well. This one here I just started. I have one from 2020 and 2019. This is 2020. And these are from the Perth Mint of Australia, but unlike the kangaroos, these are a little bit more of a higher quality bullion coin, usually in this proof finish here as well. Silver Swans are probably the nicest product that the Perth Mint puts out, in my opinion, and they do change every year. So the Swan is going to be, it's going to look different from one year to the next. This one here, I kind of like it, but it's also 4.9 silver, which is something really not too big of a difference, honestly. I mean, the difference between 4.9s and 3.9 silver is negligible, if any. You're not going to get paid anymore if you try to sell a 4.9 coin as opposed to a 3.9 coin, but just kind of know that these are out there, and they generally will run a little bit higher of a premium as well, just based on that. The Chinese pandas are also like the Silver Swan. They're going to change from year to year. Probably not as much for premium on these. This side is always the same, so it's always this. I'm not sure what this says in Mandarin, but I know it's this picture with this Chinese, looks like a temple of some sort. That's the same every year, but the pandas do change. I know one either last year or the year before had a couple pandas on there, a mom and his baby or her baby, and they're usually like eating leaves or hanging out, just looking as cute as possible, I guess. The big difference on these pandas, though, that I do want to make sure everybody's aware of, is if you see there, they're 30 grams, not 31.1. So these are actually just under a 1 ounce troy, but they charge you more for them, which, take that for what it's worth. Kind of why I'm not a super big fan of these, just from that aspect. But just keep that in mind if you are looking to pick these up. And then my last one here is actually, if you're into comic books and things like that, there are all these coins that will either have like Mickey Mouse or the Avengers or Batman or, anything of the, whatever the cool thing of the day is. I know there's some Harry Potter ones out there as well. This one is from Tuvalu, which is an island, either, I believe, in the South Pacific. But like the Perth Mint has Queen Elizabeth again. She's pretty much everywhere when it comes to these coins. So these are, like I said, the philosophy behind these not so much for stacking, but just kind of for collecting. That's at least my philosophy. Last ones here that I'll show you. These are the last 3 years of the Somali elephants. This is 2020. I believe these are this year's elephants. These also come in tubes of 20. These are coins. However, even though they're from the government of Somalia, they are actually minted in Germany. So they are really a high quality, high grade coin, at least for even just not being slabbed or graded or anything like that. I've always, anything that's come out of this mint in Germany, which I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's very good. Strikes are, I want to say, impeccable. Again, 4.9 silver. And these are also like the Noah's Arks. If you tend to get them at the beginning of the year, they're much less expensive. I want to say these right now, if you go on eBay, you're going to pay over $600 for a tube of 20. Where I picked these up for a little over $400. So they just, depending on what their mintages are, it's, it really just depends. This is probably my favorite picture. This is from last year of the elephant, just with the moon and the bird and that kind of a thing. Just really like it quite a bit. And then the first year I started stacking these, 2018, probably my least favorite. That almost looks more like an Indian elephant. For those of you who are aware of the difference, it's typically the ears. Those are big ears, but the Indian elephants typically have smaller ears, and that's first glance kind of what it looks like there. But an African elephant nonetheless. So that's pretty much it. Again, as far as the philosophy goes, I think I've covered that pretty well. This is something where if you're looking simply to stack for weight, I wouldn't even bother with these whatsoever. If you're just trying to get as many ounces as you possibly can, which I know a lot of you guys out there and gals, that's your primary objective. And I don't, I can't really argue with that objective. But this, is more of kind of a special thing for me. These are ones I just like. And I don't have a ton of them. Outside the elephants I keep in tubes, and the Noah's Arks I keep in tubes of 20. But that's just one per year, and it's really not that more when it comes to these. If you, like I said, if you can look for them at the beginning of the year in January, you'll definitely get a much better price on them than after the fact. And the even the Libertads and BU are going to be a little bit more of a collector's item. Even a little bit less than the proofs are, but you're going to get paid more for them, and you're going to pay more for them when you go to buy them at the same time. So this is just part of it. Is what for me what makes stacking a little bit more fun, and just kind of keeps it interesting. If you're just kind of sticking to eagles or sticking to generic rounds and bars and things like that, that's your prerogative. Like I said, I can't really fault you for that. But if you are looking to just kind of make things a little bit more interesting, maybe kind of take a splurge on something and hope that maybe even in the hopes that it, the value does continue to go up over the course of time. I just think, especially like with the Ukraine Archangels here, I'm of the mind that I wouldn't be surprised if Russia invaded Ukraine tomorrow and just that whole country just disappeared and just didn't exist anymore. And something like that happens, then the premiums on these could skyrocket just overnight, just based on world events. And just based on the past, we know that Russia does have quite a bit of interest in the Ukraine for various reasons, but just something else that I kind of keep in mind. So just kind of leave it there. Hope everybody liked this video as well. Again, if you have any questions, comments, please just drop them in the bottom below here. And until the next video, we will talk to you soon. Take care, everybody. Slobodka Peak. Peace out.